Last month, I tore down a wall in my childhood home and found bones, small ones, human. But that's not the part that keeps me awake. It's what I heard right before we found them, a whisper coming from inside the wall, saying my name. I thought it was the house creaking, but it wasn't. It was someone trapped inside, still trying to get out. I grew up in that house, a creaky old two-story home at the edge of town. People said it was charming, but to me, it always breathed. Walls that sighed, floors that groaned, air that sometimes whispered. When I was 6, I used to wake up at night to the sound of tapping, always from the same wall, the one between my room and the hallway. 3 slow taps, then silence. Once I pressed my ear to it and heard breathing, slow, shallow, like someone trapped inside. Mon said it was just pipes, but voice wavers with hidden fear. But every time I told her about the voice that whispered my name, her smile would freeze for half a second, and she'd change the subject. As I got older, things only got worse. Objects moved, as if shoving something invisible. Pictures tilted overnight. Cold spots appeared, always near that same wall. One morning, I found deep scratches at the baseboard, like small fingers had clawed at the plaster from the inside. Dad laughed it off, but he stopped laughing when he painted over that wall one summer and uncovered a faint handprint beneath the layers of paint. Tiny, child sized. But inside the paint itself, like it had been pressed there before the wall was sealed. He stared at it for a long time, then said quietly, "Don't tell your mother." From that night on, he slept with the light on. Years passed. I moved away, got older, tried to forget. But after my parents died last year, the house became mine. And for the first time in decades, I walked back inside. The air was thick, heavy with dust and memory. It smelled exactly the same, and yet it felt like the house was watching. The first night back, I woke at 3:12 a.m., the exact time I used to hear the tapping as a kid. And there it was again. 3 slow knocks from inside the wall. I couldn't ignore it this time. So I bought a cheap recorder, set it against the wall, and left it running overnight. The next morning, I played it back. Knock, knock, knock. And then, faintly, almost drowned by static, a whisper, "Help me." My blood went cold. I decided to dig deeper, literally. During renovations, I told the workers to open that section of wall. When they did, the first thing we found was dust, then old plaster, and then a hollow space. Inside, wrapped in decayed fabric, was a small porcelain doll, its face cracked, one eye missing, and behind it, bones. A tiny skeleton, curled up, hands over its face. One of the workers screamed and ran out. The rest refused to continue. I stood there, frozen, because suddenly I remembered something. When I was a kid, I had a dream. A girl whispering to the wall, saying, I can't get out. It wasn't a dream. It was her. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak felt alive. Every shadow moved when I blinked. I could feel her presence. Not angry, but desperate. The air in that hallway grew colder with every step. The smell, like old rain and soil. And in the faint hum of the night, I could hear a child crying. I played the recorder again, and under the static, I heard a voice whisper, Please don't leave me here. I broke down because I realized she'd been calling out for decades, and no one ever answered. I called a local historian and asked if anyone had ever gone missing in this area. 2 days later, she called back. There was a little girl, she said, Eleanor Price. Went missing in 1949. Her family lived at your address. According to police reports, she'd been playing hide and seek with her brother. He told them she went to hide inside the wall, but they never found her. The case went cold. Her brother was later institutionalized. He kept telling nurses, She's still there. I can hear her scratching. That night, I lit candles in the hallway. I placed the cracked doll on the floor beside the open wall, and I spoke softly. Eleanor, you're not alone anymore. You can rest now. The temperature dropped instantly. The candle flames bent sideways, and the wall, the empty wall, began to breathe. Then faintly, a child's voice. Can I go home now? Tears rolled down my face. I whispered, Yes. The lights flickered. A soft giggle echoed, warm, distant. And then silence. The air cleared. For the first time in my life, the house was still. A week later, I buried her remains under a small tree. A week later, I buried her remains under a small tree in the backyard. The night I left, I looked back at the hallway, and for a moment I saw a small silhouette standing where the wall used to be. She smiled and vanished. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, have you ever heard something inside your walls? Because sometimes what we think is just a creak might be someone still waiting to be found. Subscribe for more dark true horror stories, and remember, some houses never forget.